Hello, guys. Welcome to part 4 of AliBaba and the 40 Thieves. Okay, so if you've been following, you know the part we left off was the leader of the thieves decided, okay, these my fellow thieves are just so incompetent. I gotta go figure this out myself and find the guy's house and kill him. So what does he do that's so different? Well, quite surprisingly, he followed in the same exact footsteps as the previous two thieves. Found the tailor Amar, offered him gold coins, and identified AliBaba's house. But this time, what he did differently, and probably was a little bit more smart, that he didn't go around marking AliBaba's house with chalk. All he did was memorize exactly which house it was and went back to the rest of his clan of thieves. When he got to his fellow thieves, he started to hand out orders to be fulfilled immediately. He said to some of them, "Go get 19 donkeys." To others, he said, "Go get 38 large oil barrels, but no oil in them. Have them empty. And except for one, fill that with, some sort of mustard oils, almond oil, something." And these large barrels, he commanded that they be large enough to fit entire grown men, one man each. So since there were 38 of them left now, including the captain, remember the other two have been executed already. So this leaves 37 follower thieves and one captain. The commander, his plan was that he would hide all of the 37 thieves, so 37 follower thieves, he would hide them each in the large oil barrels to be loaded on each of the side of the 19 donkeys. And in one barrel, he would have actual oil. Okay, and he would be riding one donkey as being like an oil merchant. So 19 donkeys, having 38 barrels on each side, 37 of them with the follower thieves, and one of them with oil. Got it? Okay, so now he sets out with all of his cavalry hidden in the barrels into town near sunset time. He reaches AliBaba's house at nighttime and finds AliBaba in the front of his house. He approaches Ali and greets him and says to him, "I'm from a faraway village trying to sell oil. I've come here a few many times, but today I reached too late as I got delayed on my journey. Would you be so kind to host me for the night, as this traveler would eternally be thankful to you?" And in that culture, everybody was very hospitable, especially to travelers. There wasn't Airbnb or anything around at the time, so people were very generous to travelers, and they would invite them to stay in their homes. So AliBaba agrees and leads the donkeys into his courtyard and into the animal shed to be parked. So now, even though AliBaba heard the captain's voice when he was hiding in the jungle, remember, up top at the tree, he didn't recognize this like oil merchant's voice to be the same as that thief. So AliBaba was none the wiser. He thought this guy was just an oil merchant from a different land. So AliBaba orders his housemaid Miriam to cook up some dinner for the guest and make a bed for him. And he also says to make sure that the guest has everything he needs. AliBaba was tired at this point, and he said, I'm going to retire to bed, and for Mariam to have ready for him in the morning a set of fresh clothes for his big business meeting, and for some stew to eat for breakfast. So Mariam serves up the guest dinner, and before he is sent off to the guest bedroom, the commander of the thieves, he finds a private moment to go to each of the barrels to where his men are hiding to give them instructions. He whispers to each set of barrels. He said, "At midnight, when you hear my voice, cut open the leather bounds from within with your sharp knives and jump out to come and assassinate the members of this household." They all agree with a tap from within and whisper back to their master thief. Okay. Then the guest, oil merchant, who is in disguise, is fed dinner and sent to the guest bedroom to rest. Meanwhile, Miriam, the household maid, was preparing her boss's clothes for the next morning meeting, which she ordered her young co-housemaid. Remember, there was another house maid guy. He was a young boy. His name was Ahmed. So Miriam orders Ahmed to go fetch the iron to iron the boss's clothes. So while Ahmed was ironing the clothes, Miriam begins the pot of meat stew that they had to brew the night. But this is when she realizes that they ran out of all the oil in the house. And then she expresses her worry to Ahmed, oh my God, we ran out of oil. What should I do next? How am I going to make this food? And Ahmed suggests to her, Miriam, why don't you go fetch it from the oil barrels that the oil merchant guest, has brought, and then our master can pay him in the morning for the oil. And then she thought this was a great idea, and excited, she goes off to the animal shed where all the donkeys were, with the oil barrels. And then when she approaches the first donkey and the first two sets of barrels, or the first set of barrel, she hears a man's voice from within whispering, and he says, "Master, is it time now? Should we come forth for the assassination?" At this, Miriam is thoroughly freaked out. Remember, she's a sharp-witted girl. With her quick thinking, she deepens her voice to sound manly in a whisper. She says, "No, it is not time yet." She goes to the next set of barrels, where she hears the same whispers asking similar questions. "Is it time now?" She gives the same response in her deep voice. "No, it is not time yet." She goes through all of the barrels and realizes they're all filled with 37 men. Only the last barrel she finds with actual oil. She thinks to herself, "Oh my lord, what misfortune has befallen upon my employer AliBaba? These men are out to kill him. This guy is not an oil merchant. He came here to kill AliBaba. So long as I live, I will protect this house." What does she do next? She makes sure that Ahmed, her co-house boy, finishes ironing the clothes, and she sends him off to bed. "You've done so much today, Ahmed. You go get some rest. I'm almost done with this stew, and I will be heading to bed soon too." She hurries back to the shed and takes some oil containers. She hurries back to the shed and empties some of the oil from the oil barrel that actually has oil in it. And she goes back to the kitchen and starts boiling the oil. Then she brings back the hot, scalding, seething oil to the first set of barrels. She opens a small spout on the top of the barrels and pours the hot, burning oil into the first two barrels. Not realizing what was happening, the two bandits in the first set, they were scalded to death and unable to escape. They were basically burned to death. This cunning woman did that to every single barrel with each of the bandit inside. All 37 of them were scalded to death. After she was sure that they had all faced their end, she went back to the kitchen and calmly prepared the stew and pretended to go to bed, all the while keeping her door ajar so that she has access to the guest bedroom's door. Coincidentally, the guest bedroom also had a window that opened to the courtyard. So where that oil merchant, the commander of the thieves, was sleeping, there was a window that he could have actually snuck out of. So that's exactly what he did. So the commander, when he thought everybody was gone to bed, snuck out of the window and ran to the shed. He whispers to each set of the barrels, "Okay, it is time. Come forth." And he hears no response. He whispers a bit louder to each of the barrels, "Did you guys fall asleep? It is time. Come forward. There is no room for delay now." And then he hears nothing. He opens a spout at the top of the barrel and starts to smell the burning flesh. And the barrel to touch was very hot. And one by one, he goes through all of the barrels, finding them all dead. Now he started to panic. He thought that he came here to assassinate this household, and they're the ones who ended up killing all his men. He panicked, and to preserve his own life, he ran to the garden wall, like he scaled the wall and basically made his escape. Miriam followed him when she started to hear something and saw him make his escape over the wall. And since the household door was heavily bolted, she was sure that nobody was to be coming back. And basically, having taken care of all these men, she went back to sleep peacefully. The next morning, when AliBaba awakens, he's surprised to see all the donkeys still in the shed. Surely the oil merchant would have gone by now to the market to start selling, he thought. When he inquired with Miriam, the brave household maid, she reports to AliBaba all that had transpired the night before, and also about the white and red chalked X on the door that she saw a few days prior. And the story was all coming together. Miriam showed AliBaba what was inside each of the barrels. AliBaba jumps at the sight, when she calms him down and says they're not now all deceased. In his shock, he says, "What a terrible misfortune we have escaped. Thank you, Miriam. I owe you my life." "It is no matter, dear AliBaba. I am here to serve and protect you all," says the loyal Miriam. Then, as quickly as possible, AliBaba, Miriam, and the other houseboy, Ahmed, swiftly start digging up the earth in the garden to bury all these bodies before anybody in the neighborhood ever finds out what the heck is going on. AliBaba then, when burying the bodies, observes to himself that these are actually, in fact, the bandits that he saw in the forest. If there were 37 of them dead here, there are still 3 others out there. One of them disguised as the merchant that he knows about, that they're still out there. They hide the weapons and the barrels and the donkeys. Over time, they sell for a handsome profit in the market. So after a few weeks, there was peace in their household, and AliBaba starts to sleep soundly. Of course, our commander of the thieves, he would not rest and was plotting his next attack on AliBaba. Obviously, he determines that these folk were a lot more intelligent and conniving, something he underestimated before his previous attack on them. So because this time he came back again to town, but they would recognize him, he came very much disguised with a beard and a new look and just something that nobody could recognize him for. And so so what happens next? He starts to ask around people in the town, this commander of the thieves, if he heard something out of the ordinary, he would realize, people found out about these dead bodies or something, but nobody knew anything. They just told him all the regular things that were happening around town. And if anything happened with AliBaba, they would surely have heard, as the authorities would have captured him by now. So I guess nobody knew a thing. So this commander of the thieves, what he did now this time was he took a more long and methodical approach. He started to befriend AliBaba's one nephew. Remember AliBaba's nephew Qasim's son Jassim? He remained behind in the town to be a merchant. So this commander of the thieves became really friendly with AliBaba's nephew Jassim. And because this thief was older than Jassim, he would show him the ropes in the marketplace and gave him some tips. So basically, Jassim became obligated to this kind stranger. And the name that this thief now went by in his new disguise, he called himself Baba Khan. So when Jassim would go over to his uncle AliBaba's house, he would talk quite frequently of this new friend Baba Khan that that he's been very helpful in the marketplace, and AliBaba insisted that Jassim bring him over for dinner sometime. That AliBaba would like to thank him properly for being so kind to his nephew and showing him the ropes and things like that. So Jassim was like a son to AliBaba, by now, since AliBaba didn't have his own children. So one day, Jassim wanted to bring this Baba Khan around to AliBaba's home, but he knew Baba Khan would be very shy to come. So basically, they set out on a walk, Jassim and Baba Khan, in the neighborhood, and Jassim brought him over to his uncle's house without Baba Khan knowing. So upon spotting his uncle, Jassim says to AliBaba, "Oh, hello, Uncle AliBaba." And then Ali Baba says, "Oh, my dear nephew Jassim, why don't you come on in? Who do you have here? Who's your guest?" And then Jassim introduces Baba Khan of this new friend. And so Baba Khan, the thief, the commander of the thieves, he was in a very good disguise that Ali Baba didn't even recognize him. So the thief Baba Khan was now taken aback a bit because he had not planned for this visit. So Ali Baba asks them to stay for dinner, Jassim and this new guest. And then and then this Baba Khan, this guest, was making up so many excuses, like, no, 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 I can't stay. I have too many dietary restrictions. I can't eat salt. I can't eat oil. I can't eat spices. Nothing. So then Ali Baba, complies to all of the dietary restrictions. And says, no, no, we would love to host you, and asks his housemaid Miriam to prepare dinner accordingly to the restrictions. Miriam was a bit confused and was just curious. What kind of person didn't eat any of these things? No oil, no salt, no spices. Like, she was just curious. She asks her boss, Ali Baba, who is this man? And then Ali Baba says, oh, who cares? This is just, what does it matter? Just cook what he asked for. And then Miriam began to cook, but her curiosity was not satiated. So she tried to get a good look at this new guest. And as smart as she was, much smarter than Ali Baba, she recognized him through his disguise. That did not fool her. And she also saw that Baba Khan, this new guest, had a dagger hidden under his belt, like the shape she could make out that there was something stuffed under his belt. So, shocked at this revelation, she brought out dinner and asked Ali Baba if she and Ahmed, the houseboy, can, present some entertainment of music and dance for the new guest. And Ali Baba thought this was a great idea and encouraged Miriam and Ahmed. So Ahmed plays the musical instrument while Miriam starts to dance. She starts to dance around Ali Baba, the Jassim, and the new guest. And when she finds the right opportunity, she takes out the dagger that she hid behind her own skirt and plunges it into the chest of Baba Khan. Shocked at the turn of these events, Baba Khan and Jassim jumped up. What have you done, Miriam, to our guest? And then Miriam goes over to Baba Khan's body and, undoes the disguise that he was wearing. And immediately Ali Baba recognizes that this to be the chief of the thieves, the oil merchant that came in disguise, a while back. So then he says, "Oh, my dear Miriam, I owe you my entire family's lives. You've done so much for us." And they quickly dig up the earth and bury also this final thief. And Ali Baba was so touched by Miriam's loyalty that he proposes to his nephew Jassim to ask for her hand in marriage. Jassim, having learned of all the events that had taken place until now and about all the thieves, and he learned about the cave, about all the thieves, and actually Ali Baba doesn't say anything about the cave to anybody. That's basically his own story. And his wife. Those are the only two people who know about the treasure. So Jassim, but basically learns about all the assassination attempts that have taken place, and he immediately agrees to marry Miriam and asks for her hand in marriage because of her wisdom and her loyalty to their family, that everybody was still alive. So Jassim and Miriam's wedding was a great big feast, and all the neighbors and friends enjoyed this union. It had been about a year or so before Ali Baba dared to venture back into the jungle where the treasure resided. Since there was no other thief that came for his life in the past year or so, he started to gain the confidence that maybe they're all dead by now, or they just have disappeared. Even the other two that have not been found so far, maybe they're no longer alive, he thought. And one day he sets out with his donkeys and a few sacks to find himself at the entrance of the cave. What does he say? "Open sesame!" And here the boulders roll over, and he finds himself with more gold and jewels than ever before that he had seen here. He filled up his bags, came out, and says, "Shut sesame!" And on his way back home he went. At the end of his life, in his old age, he shared the secret with Jassim and Miriam about this treasure. And for generations and generations, his family lived in wealth and prosperity as they transferred the knowledge of the secret cave to the next generation. This treasure AliBaba came upon was a blessing to his loved ones down the line. And so was the story of AliBaba and the 40 Thieves. All right, guys, that was the end. How did you like it? Tell me everything in the comments. What did you think about AliBaba, and was it fair for them to keep the treasure? But I mean, stolen treasure. Yeah, how crazy was it? I mean, also, I guess they lived pretty modestly and like not too extravagant. They didn't go out. AliBaba was pretty modest. He didn't go out and, keep getting treasure every so often. Like they still traded and were merchants. So they still had some skill in trade, but it was good that they, got this starter money that they established for their big multi-millionaire businesses. So very interesting. Tell me what you guys think about the story. All right, it's late now. You guys should go to bed and have a good night. And as always, sleep well. Sweet dreams. Bye. Oh, and also, if you're having a hard time sleeping, listen to the soundtracks that I've prepared in the sleep playlist. My new favorite one is the fireplace one. Puts me right to bed. All right. Bye, guys.